Greetings from Goblin Valley, Nissedal, Norway. I'm here so you don't have to spend your days and afternoons dipping cotton in green liquid goo. Now I have done a ton of experiments since the last 3 videos. I had planned not to show you anymore because the conclusion still stands. Wick as hard as you dare through your coils and leave the ends of your wick for the most part undisturbed. So that's the conclusion for you, and you can just stop here if that is what you were after and wanted information about. For the rest of you, very curious, anally inclined or just nimwits or dumbskulls, please hang with me. Now, to be short, this experiment is about these are 4mm coils in inner diameter. From left to right, number 1 is have a pad of Japanese organic cotton that is 15mm wide. The next one, number 2, has a 6mm wide pad of cotton. That one is just your ordinary, not too hard, not too easy to pull through. And the third one is in between the two first. It's a 9 to 10mm strip of Japanese cotton. So number 1 was super hard to pull through. Number 2 was easy, what we all have learned. And number 3 was a bit hard to pull through. Well, maybe a little bit more than a bit hard. Yeah, okay. Now, for those of you who just want to fast forward through this experiment, you are going to miss a lot of points here and you will misunderstand these findings. So if you have come so far, please stay with me. Now, the distance from the coil to the 80-20 VG-PG solution is 13mm, 12 to 13mm. So this is a realistic experiment. This is the stuff you find in your typical RDA. So the race here is who gets saturated in the center first. So I have left 2 openings in the center of the coils, so it can be observed quite easily when you get saturation in the center of it. Remember now, I've done experiments with fluffing, widening, leave as is, and tightening more the end of the wicks. And the findings is that between 1 centimeter, 10mm, up to 20mm, the ends should not be disturbed at all. If you place your coils very high, you should press them gently together. If you have coils very low, like 5mm, 6mm above the bottom of the well, the center of your coil or top of your coil, then you should just very slightly widen your cotton. Not fluffing, not combing, nothing like that, but leave as is or widen it slightly at the bottom. Now, number 1 and number 3 in this experiment, I had widened the hole in the plate to 6mm, but still I had to pinch and roll them to get them through the holes. So that is the reason why you now see that all 3 are breaking through on top of the plate at the same time. This will not happen with undisturbed wicks or wick ends. It's very important that you understand this. In a lot of my experiments, undisturbed wick ends travels 2 times as fast as the one that are fluffed, combed, or very widened, or very rolled. So keep that in mind when you watch what happens here, that all 3 breaks through on top of the plate at the same time. Now, don't misunderstand me here. Even if rolling your wick ends hard, or fluffing them out destroys some of the properties of the cotton. It is not without use. Well, the combing and fluffing is, but rolling them slightly. If you have to place your coils 2 centimeters above the bottom of the well, pressing them somewhat together and rolling them somewhat between your fingers is the only way you will get juice up to your coil. Yeah. So these techniques are not without use, but the distances we are talking about here, the ordinary RDAs, you have between 10 to say 17-18 millimeters of distance to cover, and so leave the ends undisturbed. And that was not the case here because of the stuff I told you about. What we are looking at is twice the speed of the ordinary the recording. So we are, I think, now about 12-13 minutes into the experiment. And on the left, the biggest one, you can see green streaks going up on the left side of the cotton and into the coil itself, and you can observe the same on the right side of it. And if you look at the steel hard on the right, the 9 millimeter strip of cotton, if you look at the right side of the right one, number 3, you will see there's lots of green up through the cotton. And number 2 in the middle, not so much, because now the play field is somewhat more even, because now the tighter coil is winning. And you can see already that number 1 is starting to get saturated in the center after about 14 minutes. So the speed of a very, very tight coil and the speed of a very tight wick is much greater than a less tight wick, and that is due to the 2 reasons. The more cotton you have undisturbed into your tray, the more e-juice is sucked up, and the more compressed the cotton is in your coil, the higher the speed the e-juice will have from the outside of the coil and into it. Now, when I say proved, I mean proved in with my equipment, my e-juice 80-20 mix and my Japanese organic cotton and my flat wire coils. To me, I have proven this for me myself. And it is undisputable, the findings. And this is, remember, this is the last of, 20 experiments I've done. And I've explained to you about the faults of this experiment. And now it's so obvious to see that the big wick, wide at the bottom in the tray, very, very, very tight in the coil, is absolutely superior to anything else in sucking up the juice and delivering it into the center of the coil where the coil is hottest. This is a jump cut to 20 minutes. And the differences between the number 1 and number 3 and regarding the center, number 2, is very, very obvious. From where I was standing, the center of number 1 was glistening with e-juice. It was, it wasn't only just green, but it was glistening with excess juice in the center. And yes, you can see that in number 3, I think. Number 3 that was wicked hard was also glistening with juice. I experimented by putting something white to try to see the color better, and now you can see strands of white and green in number 2. So that is coming along, but it's like 30% slower than the other ones. And that despite that number 1 and number 3 had twisted wicks down into the well in order to reach, to go through the holes in the plate and reach the bottom. In reality, the number 1 super tight and number 3 tight are 50 to 60% faster than what we normally have done up until now. The number 1 also has the advantage that I have proven by experiments you will not have spatter with number 1. And because of the amount of liquid in number 1, and because the contact surface between liquid and metal is much tighter due to mechanical pressure, you can also lower your energy consumption. Or you can stay at what you are used to and just get more and more flavor and vapor, but it will get a little bit hotter if you don't regulate your watts. So I think we'll call it quits here, and now I'm certain I will not do another cotton experiment for the rest of my life. But I know you can never be sure, but I can't possibly think about that there is a wicking material that is in daily use that has different properties than this, where these rules and effects cannot be applied. It's so basic, really, and yeah. Well, just watch my other 3 videos on this subject and find this, and this specific experiment that I'm showing you now was asked for, and so here it is with all its faults and yeah, inaccuracies, but yeah, point proven to me.